Sweet Tooth Slasher Review.
Exciting. Now the big moment right now, of course, is us talking about our very next chapter to be released, which is Five Nights at Freddy. Five Nights at Freddy, I don't need to tell you, is one of the biggest indie horror games. Is it even possible to call it indie nowadays?
Yeah.
Tough to say, but it certainly was 10 years ago when it released, almost the same time as us. It was a small little indie horror game, and it caught people by surprise, and it became a gigantic thing. It's one of the most requested IPs that we've had since we started Dead by Daylight. So we're very happy to bring them into the world of the entity right now. We will also, I'll let you know right now, the killer for this chapter will be Springtrap, known in our game as the animatronic. Not only is he by far the darkest character in that world, but he's sort of the main guy. He's the main villain. He's the reason why all of these terrible things are happening. So for us, it was sort of a no-brainer that he should be the guy, right? He will be sacrificing people. He will be hunting down people. It is the very first time that players will be able to incarnate Springtrap. Nobody's ever been able to play him in games. So that's pretty damn cool for us to be able to do.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. That's yeah. It's not like there's going to be intense scrutiny from two very avid packs of fan, both on our sides and theirs.
No way.
What else is there?
Uh-huh.
What else are we going to do, right? Something subtle? But so in this, we will be releasing a bunch of cosmetics, of course, as usual. But one of them I want to mention right now. We are going to have one of the legendary outfits for Springtrap will be from the movie that was released a little while ago, 2023. And it is the Yellow Rabbit, including Matthew Lillard's face, which is going to be our game.
Wow.
And he was very generous with his time, and he recorded all the VOs for the characters. So you're going to get Matthew Lillard, the awesomely cool guy, in Dead by Daylight, reprising his role of the Yellow Rabbit, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I mean, we always strive for sort of the authentic flavor as much as we can, and in this case, it was really great to be able to add him in there. Now, important to note, this chapter will not feature any survivors, but we couldn't bring Five Nights at Freddy's into the fog without including the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria as a new map. We took a lot of inspiration from the original Fnaf setting, and it is one of the maps that we have packed the most Easter eggs and surprises and little moments and jump scares in. So we absolutely cannot wait for you to see it. And to help you see it, we will also be debuting in this a new quality of life feature that we've introduced that will now be part of our Dead by Daylight Forever. When we release a new map, there will now be a queue that you can enter that is going to be this map exclusively.
Nice.
So people don't have to do like custom matches with their friends. You can actually play the game, but in
That's
a
awesome.
special queue that's just for that. There will, of course, be a queue where you can play the game as normal, but we wanted to make sure that people get to... I mean, a lot of people just want to see the new map when it releases, and we'll give them a way to do that better. There's going to be a lot more details on the perks and powers and everything in a big stream that we'll do right after, well, not right after, but after our big broadcast. We don't have the exact moment yet. We'll let you know, of course.
We have it. Okay,
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy's. This is by far the most anticipated license possible.
I mean, there's a couple that people have been screaming about for ages, but that's definitely on top of anybody's list.
Yeah. You had a lot of choices to make here. And, you know, the speculation has been going on well before you guys even announced it. Like you said, the demand for Five Nights at Freddy's has been through the roof. You went with Springtrap. That was kind of, I from what I've seen, the majority of what people wanted. how much did that go into making that decision, or what was it internally with coming up with, okay, who are we going to use?
Honestly, there were a couple of options of how we could have gone about doing that. Like the original band of animatronics on stage at the pizzeria is an option, but really, if you look at the whole world of Five Nights at Freddy, Springtrap is the reason why everything happens. He is the bad guy, and on top of that, he is also by far the darkest creation in that world. Like, he's not a robot gone rogue or programmed by someone evil. He's a supernatural, weird mix of human and machine, and it's just very, very dark. Actually, I'm surprised that it's in a PG-13 thing, but he is a really, really dark character. And it's fun because working with the creator on that and sitting down and going, okay, it's usually the first question we ask, right? When you're getting into the world of Dead by Daylight, it's not so much the character being plucked out of their world and put into ours. It's what would a nightmare about Five Nights at Freddy look like? And that's the question usually. And in this case, it would be the most horrific version of Springtrap. And that's what we tried to do.
Now, were there any other FNAF characters that were considered but ultimately not chosen for this chapter?
Yeah, there were conversations. We did look at a lot of options, but in the end, sitting down with the creator, I think everybody agreed pretty quickly that this was the best way to make sure that fans on both sides, both Dead by Daylight fans and Five Nights at Freddy's fan, would be fully satisfied. I mean, some people will bitch, that's inevitable, but this was, we believe it's the best offering that we could do. And then again, we have the luxury of the legendary outfits. So even, yeah, it's true, it's Springtrap, but then you can also be the yellow rabbit, with Matthew Lillard's face. So really, what are you complaining about?
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. Let Matthew Lillard on pretty much anything. It's better, right? Right out of the box.
There you go.
You mentioned legendary skins, and I don't know if this is something that you could discuss or it has even been discussed already. We've seen things like Naughty Bear and so many other legendary skins that Naughty Bear's awesome, that create a whole new character within that character, and it's kind of like its own killer in certain aspects. Is this something that you have discussed doing or would like to do with, Freddy Fazbear or any other of the other animatronics to have as a legendary skin?
Yes. However, there is a sort of there are boundaries in there, and one of them that is very, very clear, at least in our conversations with Scott, is that the power set that we created for Springtrap needs to make sense for whoever you become, right? And for him, it was very, very important that the characters in his universe do not act in a way that is opposed to how they are portrayed in his creation so far. So with that in mind, there's only a subset of legendary outfits that work within that frame.
Okay.
I know it's a little vague in places, but that's the best answer I can give you right now.
It's a straightforward answer in its own way. If you pay attention to the characters and what they do, and it makes total sense. And Five Nights at Freddy's, now we have the benefit of being able to ask the question: is this chapter based on the games, the Blumhouse film that came out? Matthew Lillard being tied to that, or is it just a kind of combination of both?
It's a combination of both, but mostly it is the games, right? There are a lot of games. Let's say, for instance, when you talk about the map that we created, that pizza place is very much from the first game. It has appeared in many forms, in many other ways, but this was our original inspiration, because in many cases, especially when we have access to all of it, whatever the case, right? If we're talking about Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or whatever, we tend to like to focus on the source material, the original one. It's just our go-to. It's not always possible, and sometimes there's exceptions. But in this case, we wanted to go to the most the place where it all began. Again, I guess it's the theme right now.
Going back to the cosmetics legendaries,
Yep.
can we expect different Moris to come along with any other characters?
Yes,
As we've seen.
That's the short answer.
Okay.
But yes, absolutely. That's been a top request from the team even before it became a top request from the players. And yes, you will see legendary outfits that come with a Mori.
Now, is that legendary skin going to be live with the release of the chapter?
I believe it is. Ode, correct me. Don't correct me. It's true. Okay.
I said,
Perfect.
I think so, but let's confirm when we see
Yeah,
the
okay.
press release.
Yeah, that's
but
the
I
thing is-
believe.
We'll revisit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might have got
The-
another bleep there. That'll be your second.
No, but that's okay. The
Okay.
thing is, this chapter, the release of this chapter and our anniversary and all those things are sort of happening at breakneck speed all at the same time. So some of the approvals, some of the last minute decisions are still happening. That's why we're being lightly blurry on some of the details. But
course.
yeah.
And just to swing back, I did leave one question out about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep.
The jump scare aspect, and because that's very important. Very,
Very
very
much so.
I was very late to the Five Nights at Freddy's train and played the game for the first time a couple of years ago. That thing scared the shit out of me several times.
And that's the whole point. And it's interesting. Normally, I've done a lot of those interviews, and Jason is there, he's one of our killer designers, which is a great title. But he talks about the fact that when we came at this, we had a series of games which the gameplay is almost completely the opposite of Dead by Daylight, right? You play Five Nights at Freddy's and you just sit quietly, you manage resources, and you try not to get noticed, and you hope that they pass you by. Whereas in Dead by Daylight, if you just stay there, you get killed.
Right.
And so we had to bring in like the jump scares and that sort of building tension as well, while creating a killer. So the killer is not just there to have fun playing as a killer. It has to be there and create tension by its presence. And you're right, Springtrap is a killer that's about intimidation and taunting people and creating jump scares and grabbing you when you least expect it. And that's what we focused on. So I think it's one of those killers, to a certain extent, a bit like Saw, right? When we created the pig, he puts that mask on your head, that helmet thing, and then it becomes your story, right? You live something, and the killer's gone, is already doing something else, and the survivor still has a lot to deal with because of the situation. And we wanted to create something like that because it's important that is respected, right?